Hey everybody, I thought I'd do a video of replacing the skin or fence or sheet metal, whatever you want to call it, on this pontoon boat. It's starting to look a little old, and going to do a little restoration on it this year with a new vinyl floor and new fence and new bimini and polish up the pontoons. So I thought I'd do a video. So far there's only one out there that I've found, and it's pretty good, but might help some people out by doing one myself and maybe try to be a little bit more detailed. So we're out here on Graham Lake in Ontario at my house, and hopefully this thing will look a lot better once I'm done. Hopefully it goes smoothly.
So this is what the sheet metal looks like. I got it from pontoonspecialist.com. They're pretty good to deal with, fast shipping, pretty fair prices. They sell them only in 12-foot sections, and I got 3 of them. Came to $210 plus $30 shipping. It's got that plastic coating on both sides. No damage that I could see in shipping. Everything looks pretty good. You just get it home, cut the roll, and it just lays out the way you see it here. It's been sitting for 2 or 3 days, so that's as flat as it's going to get. You can see some small ripples in there, but I think once it's inside those railings, it should be fine.
So I don't know if everyone's pontoon boats are like this. Probably most that are this old. This is a 2001. So the plan is just to bend this tab up, bend this tab down, and hopefully that either slides right out or it can bang it out, and then the new one will slide right in. I'm going to try to grease kind of each of those rails, top and bottom, to hope it slides in nice and easy. I can't imagine the ones on the straight sections are going to be too difficult, but where it curves around the seats and at the back might be a bit trickier. I'm also going to try something different than that other video. I'm going to leave the rails on the pontoon boat after I take the seats off, and try to work with them bolted to the floor instead of laying them on the ground, and that way they'll be nice and solid, and I can push against them without them sliding all over the place. So hopefully that works out, but we'll see how she goes. Alright, so I got the first seat out. It's pretty easy, just 2 tiny little screws. I'm actually pretty surprised. I'm going to start with this section first because I think it's probably going to be the most difficult. It's got the sharpest curve to it in the corner. And you can see in the corner there, those bottom and top rails, they look like they're going to be pretty tough to pry apart just because they're a curve. So we'll see how that goes. So before I go and take this part out, or bang it out or slide it out, however it's going to come out, I want to take a measurement of it just before I mangle it up. So I can cut the next one at least pretty close to it, and then once I get the new one in, I have an idea of how I'm going to do it. So I cut it off exactly at the right spot as this one was. So 91 inches. So next step, I'm just going to take out the screws on each end here, in the middle, and here at the end, and then I'll pop off this angle bracket here as well. Alright, so I'm going to start prying apart the bottom and top rails. I got this tool from the home hardware store. It's pretty good. It's nice and rigid, doesn't flex like a normal scraper or putty knife, and it's got, I don't know if you can tell, it's got an edge to it, and that helps get in between the sheet metal and that rail. So let's see how this goes. So you just got to get the tip in there and get it started. Tap a little bit, and pull apart. And actually it does come down, it's pretty soft. I'm surprised. I know it's aluminum, but yeah, so that's pretty easy. I guess the tricky part is going to be trying to get it to be nice and straight all the way around without creating too many ripples, so it goes back nice and smooth as well. But I don't think this is going to be that difficult. It might be time consuming and tedious, but it's coming along. And in that in the one video on YouTube, if you've seen it, they only, from what I saw, only did the bottom rail. I'm going to do both to make sure it's nice and wide and open and it slides in a lot better. So I'll keep going on this. And yeah, see, it is kind of being a little bit ripply, but when you can kind of come back and straighten the parts you already did. We'll see. So as I thought, these corners, they're super tight in there, and it is pretty tricky. So the only way I've found to do it, it's kind of a bit messy, but you just got to jam it in. Instead of being like this, you got to be on an angle and just work your way around. Alright, so I got both the top and bottom there all the way along, ripped up, bent up. It probably took about, I don't know, 15 minutes in total. And sore hand muscle. You can see these corner ones don't look too good, but that's the only thing I could do, so we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna, instead of banging this out with the sledgehammer, which would definitely be easy because I can tell it's quite loose, I'm going to see if I can slide it out. And it might just give me a kind of an indication of how hard it's going to be to slide the new stuff in. So, who knows? We'll see how it goes. Obviously wear some gloves because that sheet metal is definitely sharp. So it slides all right. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, it gets super tight in the corners. And the new stuff I have is even thicker than this, so I don't know how that's gonna go. And you obviously don't want to be bending the new stuff like this, but yeah, see, once it gets around the corner, it slides out really easily. So I thought. There you have it. A little bit scary though, because you don't want to be mangling the new stuff that way. Now that that's out, what I might do is pry those corners open a little bit more so it's nice and open, the new stuff will slide in. What I did was took this scraper here and I just got the corners in there, scraped all the way along, top and bottom, got everything out as much as I can. There's some silicone in there that I had to scrape off, and then I just took a brass brush, did the same thing all the way along, top and bottom, and then took the shop vac and just vacuumed all the crumbs and shit out. Now what I'm going to do is I got this bearing grease. That's all I had. That was kind of slippery, and I'm going to put some along the straight parts, not too much, but then quite a bit probably in through there and through the corners to kind of help it get around and maybe stop some of the potential scratches on this. Here's the first piece I cut. It was a bit of a pain in the butt, but not the worst. I use these guys, kind of have an offset to them. They still didn't get in there perfectly. Kind of had to put them on an angle to be able to move along. I just show you guys how somewhat easy it is to cut this stuff. Like I said, I got these offset shears. Still kind of a little bit tricky because the sheet metal ends up riding up here and then riding down there, so it kind of splits apart and bends it a bit, but you can bend it back, and it hasn't been an issue yet. But one hand, I'm not a very strong guy, and you can see it just goes right through. But you can see what I'm saying. This one starts riding up here and this starts going down here, and it does create a little bit of a bend in it once you're done. I'm not following the line here, so I'm just going quick to show you, but it's pretty easy stuff. And when you're done, actually, if you take your time, it leaves a fairly smooth edge. I'm going to put some bearing grease around. Alright, maybe I'll just try on the corners for now and see how it goes. Moment of truth. Sorry, the field of view on my iPad is not very good, so can't really get everything in the shot all at once. Wow. That was extremely easy. I can't believe it. I'm not going to push it all the way in. I got to cut the ends once I figure out exactly how long it needs to be. I left a little bit extra, and once I figure it out, I'll just come make a line with a T-square or something and come straight down, try to make a nice clean cut. But that's awesome. There's no ripples in it whatsoever, and I haven't even tightened up those bottom and top rails. So super easy. I think the grease in the corner really helped. And happy, can't believe it. So the other thing I did, I just took some waterproof silicone and cut the smallest bead possible. I was gonna go all the way along, but you can't get it in there enough, and you can't get the hole small enough, and I know when I hammer these rails back, it's all gonna squish out, and I don't want to deal with that. So I just put a couple dabs here all the way along, maybe every 10 inches or something. And I'm hoping that if there's any chance of any rattling, that would kind of dampen it a bit and hold it tight, but I don't think there's going to be an issue, to tell you the truth, but I'm still going to do it just to make sure. Okay, so I'm just tapping these rails back in. I tried it first with this dead blow, but I found this mini sledge, just the weight of it hammers it back pretty easily. So I just put my hand on the outside and just kind of supported the bottom rail, pushed it against it, and just tapped it in. Some of that silicone squeezed out like I thought. And just go along. Pretty simple, obviously. Just make sure you don't hit the sheet metal. Just keep it rested against the ground for this bottom one. One other tip, because the dead blow or the rubber mallet wasn't as good as banging down those rails as a mini sledge, these doors are going to be visible, unlike the ones right here where it's hidden by the seat. So I didn't want to bang on that aluminum rail and kind of mar it up, so I just put some tape over it, and so far it's done the trick. And it looks pretty smooth all the way across, and there's no scratches, no marks or anything. So I'd do that if I were you. Alright, so next thing I got to do is re-drill the holes where there were screws there, just to kind of hold this tight to the edge. Before I peel off the plastic too, I'm going to grab a piece of sandpaper and just rub this edge, make sure it's not too sharp. Kid could cut their leg or something, who knows. So I'm going to drill here, here, back there, and these ones by the doors are visible, so I'm going to measure it out and make sure they're nice and even, make them look as good as possible. One thing I forgot, I'm just going to add some grease in here. I have no idea if it will do anything, but I always worry about bare aluminum and getting that white crusty corrosion going, so maybe this will help, maybe it won't. There was nothing like this in the original factory one, but I don't think it can hurt anything, so I'm going to do it anyways, just in case. Just dab that in there with my trusty Q-tip, and then I'll put the screws back in. So that's it. This corner's done anyways. It took, oh, I don't know, 2 hours now, but it was the first one, right? First one always takes a long time, but it turned out pretty good. Sorry for the camera work. This is all hidden behind. See, you see there's some spots there. That's kind of a ripply. Maybe I'll go back and fix that, but it's all behind the seat anyway. Same with these corners, they're rough, but that's the best I can get them, and they'll be behind the seat. I'll just show you the outside. Alright, so here's the finished product. turned out really good. There's not a single crease, warpage, no bends, nothing like that. Still has that protective coating on it, so it's not very shiny right now, and there's probably little spots you can see. The corner turned out pretty much perfect. It's great. Ended up being a pretty easy job, so the only thing I do differently for the rest of the boat is I'm going to take the railings off once I slide that sheet metal in to hammer those upper and lower rails back into place. I think putting it against the ground is going to make it a lot easier as opposed to bracing it with my arm around the outside. But leaving them on to slide the sheet metal in turned out to be a pretty good idea. It made it really easy. You can do it with one person that way. Here's the finished product. I still got the decals to put on and the registration numbers, stuff like that, give it a good clean, but this is pretty much the gist of it. Turned out pretty good. The boat doesn't quite look as modern as I was hoping, but it's a 20-year-old boat now, so what can you do? I also replaced the floor on it, as I think I mentioned before. This stuff is awesome. It's luxury woven vinyl. I got it from a company, boatcarpetsales.com, or Sparta Carpets. He was awesome to deal with, great customer service, fast shipping, and incredibly cheap prices. I believe he gets overstock. I don't know for sure, but I believe he gets overstock from either boat manufacturers or the flooring companies themselves, but it's excellent quality stuff, and what a change from the maroon carpet. I also moved the entire pontoon top forward on the deck by 18 inches. This used to come right to the very back of the deck, and there was absolutely no room back there. The engine was crammed underneath that sun deck. Battery was getting wet all the time. So now there's a lot of room to walk around, fiddle with the engine if you need to, fill up with gas, play with the battery, just stand around fishing. It's perfect. Anyways, that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. Good luck to you.